Today, we're jumping into a story that is just wild. It sits at this bizarre intersection of medicine, Nobel Prize winning science, and, believe it or not, a global ecological catastrophe. It's the absolutely incredible tale of one specific frog, the African clawed frog. So that's the big question, right? How on earth could an animal that helped create so much life also somehow be responsible for so much death? Well, the answer is this fascinating and kind of tragic story of unintended consequences that changed our world in ways nobody could have ever predicted. Okay, let's get into it. Our story kicks off in the early 20th century, and back then, just figuring out if you were pregnant was a surprisingly difficult and honestly a pretty grim process. I mean, just think about how these early tests worked. You had the rabbit test or the mouse test. They involved injections over several days. And here's the grim part. To even get the results, the animals had to be killed and dissected, just so a doctor could see if their ovaries had changed. It was slow, it was expensive, and yeah, it was lethal. But then, this British scientist named Lancelot Hogben comes along. He's working in South Africa, and he makes this amazing discovery. He finds that if you inject a female African clawed frog with urine from a pregnant woman, it lays eggs. Why? It turns out the frog is incredibly sensitive to a hormone called HCG, which, you guessed it, is only produced during pregnancy. It was a brilliant, simple, living indicator. So the Hogben test was a total game changer. It was lightning fast. We're talking hours, not days. It was incredibly reliable. And here's the best part. The frogs were completely unharmed. They could be used again and again. Suddenly, this little frog made pregnancy testing cheap, accessible, and way more humane. But believe it or not, the frog's journey into the spotlight was just getting started. Its unique biology made it way more than just a living pregnancy test. It became an absolute superstar in research labs all over the world. Get this, an astonishing 90% of the genes that are associated with human diseases have a direct counterpart in the African clawed frog. Scientists call it a homologue. It basically means we share a common ancestral gene, which makes these frogs an incredible model for studying our own bodies. So you see, this little frog became this incredible living laboratory. Its embryos are large, and they develop outside the mother, which makes them perfect for watching life unfold in real time. Scientists use them to unlock the secrets of everything from how our organs form to how cancer grows. We're talking about the fundamental building blocks of life here. And look at that number, 21. That is just staggering. This isn't some minor contribution. This is research that forms the bedrock of modern biology and medicine, work that led to more than 20 Nobel Prizes. This frog wasn't just helpful, it was foundational to what we know today. But as the African clawed frog was being celebrated in labs, something dark, something silent, and absolutely devastating was starting to unfold out in the wild, a mystery that would baffle scientists for decades. This quote from biologist Jamie Voiles, man, it just captures the chilling reality perfectly. Starting in the 1970s, in these beautiful, pristine habitats all over the globe, frogs were just vanishing. Places that were once buzzing with the sounds of amphibians fell completely, eerily silent, almost overnight. It took them until 1998 to finally identify the killer, a microscopic fungus with a mouthful of a name, Batrachiochitrium dendrobatus, or just BD for short. And this fungus is the stuff of nightmares. It attacks the skin of amphibians, which they need to breathe and absorb water. It essentially and horribly suffocates them. And the scale of this thing, it's hard to even wrap your head around. It's been called the single most devastating wildlife disease ever recorded. It's hit over 700 species and has been linked to the extinction or massive decline of about 200 of them. This wasn't just a downturn. For frogs, it was an apocalypse. So what does a hero lab frog have to do with a global plague? Well, this is where our two stories, the medical miracle and the ecological mystery, crash into each other in the most tragic way imaginable. Okay, so look at this timeline, because it really tells the whole story. Scientists went back and looked at old museum specimens, and yep, they found the bead fungus on African clawed frogs way before all this started. Then, boom, the 1930s hit. The Hogben test creates this massive global demand, and millions of these frogs get shipped out of Africa to labs all over the planet. The timing is just, it's no coincidence. And here is the absolute heart of the problem. You see, the African clawed frog had lived with this fungus for ages, so it had evolved a natural resistance. It could carry the pathogen without really getting sick. But for hundreds of other amphibian species around the world that had never seen this thing before, it was an absolute death sentence. The medical miracle had become an unknowing, asymptomatic carrier, a biological time bomb unleashed on the world. So this all brings us back to a really tough question, right? Is the African clawed frog a hero or a villain? The truth is, it's just not that simple. Its story is a total paradox. On one hand, you have this unbelievable miracle, a revolution in women's health, and decades of Nobel-winning science that have saved countless human lives. But on the other hand, you have the curse, the accidental spread of a disease that caused one of the worst mass extinctions in modern history. It's a story of incredible progress with a catastrophic, unforeseen ecological price tag. And look, this isn't just some weird story from the past. The story of this frog is a massive cautionary tale for right now. We still ship over 100 million amphibians every year for the pet and food trades, creating all these new pathways for diseases to spread. And we're already seeing similar fungal plagues devastating bats and snakes. This frog story is a stark reminder of the huge risks in our interconnected world. And that leaves us with this final, really difficult question to chew on. The African clawed frog gave us so much, but its global journey cost the planet dearly. As we keep pushing the boundaries of science, how do we make sure our greatest achievements don't end up causing our deepest regrets? It's definitely something to think about.